Hello, hello, my loves, and welcome back to the Fallon Frequency Podcast, your space for that alignment, expansion, and unstoppable energy. I am your host and mindset mentor, Fallon, and I am so excited to have you here. Okay, first of all, I hope everyone had a fabulous weekend. If you are American, it was 4th of July, and honestly, it was only my second 4th of July in I don't know, a ridiculous amount of years. I have traveled, as you guys know my story, lived on super yachts, and then lived in Australia. So 4th of July was not something I was used to celebrating, but crazy enough, I actually flew back from Australia this time last year. I moved over here to live permanently with my partner over in the Pacific Northwest, obviously moving around to Mexico, and we'll be in Hawaii next week. But pretty crazy that it has been a year. My, how time flies. But insane. But I wanted to, I hope everyone had a beautiful weekend. I really had an awesome time. I went down to the South Oregon coast to visit some friends that we had actually met in Mexico in this hidden little gem called Flores Lake. It's like this big lake that is really right next to the ocean. Really awesome. Really great spot to do wind sports. Very chilly down there, but it was a lot of fun. And I attempted myself at winging because the surf was below 50 degrees water, and I didn't have a hoodie or booties, and I was very spoiled when I lived in Byron, so that wasn't happening. But there is something so magical that really refuels me when I'm by the ocean. I fucking love salt water. I love it so much. I feel so connected to myself when I'm in the ocean. So, point of the story was our drive down was actually meant to be like maybe 5.5 hour drive. But, being that it was a holiday weekend and we ended up leaving late, it ended up turning into being like a 9-hour trip just to get down there, which is insane. But the crazy part of this is I am so in the flow and so in this awesome energy that I didn't even mind. I think towards the last 45 minutes of the drive, I was like, okay, I'm pretty tired. It's getting pretty late now. But I just love, there's such a beautiful thing and an energetic shift for myself when I travel and when I go to new places. And if you haven't been on the Oregon coast, that road is absolutely gorgeous. And spending time, obviously, quality time with my guy and Captain, super cute. If you didn't see my stories, Captain kept falling asleep on my leg. He really just likes to be right next to you. But anywho, it was perfect timing for me to really kind of dive a bit deeper and think about what I wanted to chat about today on this episode for you. Every week before I record these, I try to really sit with the collective energy of the women around me, whether that be clients or just the community or, conversations with friends that I'm having, I'm just trying to figure out what are people navigating right now. And lately, I have found a pretty crystal clear thread. Last week I spoke about standards and changing the game there. But this week I want to talk about, of course, in energetic terms, what is happening, right? When we're doing the inner work, we are doing all the things. And we're wondering why. Why is it not landing? And not necessarily even talking about the void space or that sacred stretch like I've told you about before. But, I want to talk about when you're just fucking all in, right? You are journaling, you are meditating, you are scripting, you are visualizing, you are actually taking action, right? You're healing your shit, which is epic, and keep going. You're showing up, okay? But you're still waiting, still wondering, where is it? Whether that be love. Love is huge for women in my world right now. Money, abundance, the yes, the overflow. And I want you to know that, of course, this episode isn't a you're doing it wrong episode, okay? This is more of an episode for me to let it light this little fire under your bum, okay? I want you to hit that next level self. And I'm gonna break it down a bit and show you how to do that, okay? The truth here is, and I say it with so much love. Everything I say, even if it's a bit spicy, I mean it with so much love, but you cannot receive from a blocked field. You can't welcome overflow when your nervous system is still wired for survival, okay? You cannot be magnetic when your body doesn't feel safe enough to hold what you're calling in. So this episode is, of course, it's not about doing more. It's really never going to be about doing more. So if you're looking for more doing, you tune out, because it's never going to be about doing more. It's about receiving, and receiving differently. I want to talk a bit more about expanding your capacity to hold. I want to talk about cultivating the felt sense of worthiness within your body, where you're making space emotionally, energetically, and somatically to actually let all these beautiful things that you're calling in to come in. It's not about becoming someone else. It's about coming home to the version of you who's safe to receive. That version of you who trusts herself with the love, or trusts herself with the money and the abundance, and 100% trusts herself with that magic. I want you to shift from why isn't it working to, of course it's mine. So if you've been doing all the things and you still feel like something's missing, you were in the right place, my friend. I'm going to talk about how to actually receive it, what might be blocking those blessings, because sometimes they're a bit sneaky. And we're going to jump into energetic receivership, because I want you to open the floodgates, and I want you to know how to open those floodgates. So what does it actually mean to receive? I want to break the illusion, okay? Break the fluff. No more surface level version of receiving here. Receiving isn't passive. It's not about waiting around with your fingers crossed. You can't just be open in theory while your body is secretly bracing from impact, Receiving is an active energy. It's not the absence of effort. It's the presence of alignment. It's not you're not sitting on your hands waiting for some miracle and magic to come in. It's creating space for that miracle to land. So surrendering with structure. It's the feminine flow with the nervous system safety. Now, I've talked about this quite a bit on a different episode, and it's that beautiful dance between the feminine and the masculine energies. And I want to really anchor that in here, okay? When you've got your masculine container in place, we're talking masculine container, meaning when you've got your routines, or you've got your boundaries, or emotional safety, or even your integrity, right? Your feminine energy, she's free to play. It's open and you're ready to receive, okay? Beautiful analogy here. Think of it this way. Your masculine is the riverbank. Your feminine is the flowing river. Without the bank, the water has no direction. The water is going to spill everywhere, or it's going to evaporate, or worse, it's going to stagnate. But when you have structure in place, guess what? The water moves, it arrives, and it builds momentum, most importantly. Now, here's the part where most, women don't really realize. We're out here, trying to manifest love and abundance and magic, but our bodies are, like I said, bracing for some disappointment. So it's like you're calling in this overflow from a system that still expects to struggle. And, you might say things like, I want the love of my life. But I'm bringing up love because I keep hearing it. It seems to be a theme in my world. But I want you to realize, you can't call in the love of your life when your body is, still holding on to this betrayal. It still contracts when someone gets too close to you. So what do? You sabotage it. You pull back. You attract emotionally unavailable partners. Not because you don't want the love, but because your system doesn't feel safe to hold the love. Or another example. You want to earn more money. You want to be financially free. You want to be more abundant, right? But deep down, your nervous system believes more money equals more pressure, more visibility, more potential to fail. Maybe, just maybe you grew up watching someone you love burn out, chasing success, and now you're unconsciously repeating that loop. So what do? You undercharge, you don't change your career, you don't go for your dreams, you avoid, you second guess yourself. Or another one that I see all the time is you want to be seen, but your subconscious is saying to you, but wait, what if they judge me? What if I mess up? So you're waiting for like clarity, but all you're really doing is hiding. You're playing small, telling yourself, I'm not ready yet. And guess what? Nothing changes. Why does nothing change? Because you didn't do anything different, Receiving isn't about hustling harder to get what you want. It's about, of course, it's not about forcing it, but you do have to clear the field so what you're asking for can actually land. It's less of the question of how do I get more money and more of the question of what do I need to release or recode or rewire to actually feel safe with this money that I'm calling in. Because the thing that you're calling in, the thing that you see, this beautiful big ass life that you've visualized, it is already orbiting you. If you've seen the vision in your mind, that means you felt it energetically in your body, which means it exists in a different field, okay? It is not missing. It is waiting for you to become an energetic match. It's basically hanging out there in the quantum field, ready to collapse into form. But the universe is holding it, and it's like, wait a second. Can she hold this? Like, she keeps telling me she wants it, but can she hold it? Can she receive this without shrinking herself? Or is she going to start self-sabotaging herself if she gets this? Is she going to abandon herself in this process? It's not a clear signal, okay? So you've got to become the version of you who can hold it without shrinking or sabotaging or shutting yourself down. And babe, like, that is the hard truth. The version of you, this might sound a bit, I told you I'm putting a fire under your bum on this episode, but the version of you right now, this very second, isn't emotionally, energetically, or nervously, safe enough to hold that level of love and money and intention or even impact because you'd have it, the life that you protect you from it. It's not delivered to you. Your evolution matters more than the thing. Because I want you to know how to hold it, okay? And I want you to understand in energetic terms that the faster you get this concept, the faster it'll get here, and this is why the work, any work, is always internal first. Your external reality cannot reflect, what you want if internally that's not what you have. So again, I'm putting the fire under your bum, but no, you're not doing it wrong. And it's not that you're not worthy. It's that you're still in this becoming, version of you who can receive on that level and not lose yourself in the process. And that is really where your power lives, okay? Of course, not in the chasing, but becoming more and holding more and trusting that when your field is clear, guess what? Your desires have no choice but to land. And I want to be really clear here. As I mentioned, the blocks can be very disguised. They are definitely not always obvious. Sometimes they're buried deep in your body from childhood. Sometimes they're passed down from your lineage. Sometimes they're even a result of one painful 2-minute moment that you had and your system said, this is too much. This is not safe. So when I talk about receiving, we're talking about unblocking your ability to feel safe with more. Because the moment that you do that, you do flip a switch energetically. The desire doesn't just knock, okay? It fucking walks in. So I want to talk, paint a little picture here, loud and clear, about the blocks, because if you do have the awareness, you can't shift it, right? So maybe you're thinking, hey, I'm doing the work and you're not receiving, and the manifestations basically are circling up above in this other quantum field you keep hearing about, but they're not landing. They're not in your reality. There is a high chance that you are unconsciously blocking them. And of course, that does not mean you're broken, but your body learned a long time ago that receiving didn't feel safe. So I want to name a few of these sneaky little blocks because a lot of times they don't actually even look like blocks, and they're quietly running the show in your energetic field. Okay, so first one, I want to talk about the overgiving, okay? The overgiver. You are the supportive one, the I've got it girl. You pour endlessly into others. But for some reason, you can't receive a compliment without shrinking. I know so many women, myself included, could not receive a compliment. Or you say, I'm fine, I'm fine when you're exhausted. You know what's the worst one that I was really bad at? Is you actually apologizing. Like you apologize for needing help. Like, oh, I'm sorry, can you... Get that out of your vocabulary. I'm choking on my words here. The I'm sorry is no longer going to be a part of your vocabulary. You are an overgiver. You're deflecting love, you deflect support, or even money, because deep down to you, you don't realize this, but it actually feels safer for you to give than it does to receive. Ooh, okay, so I'm sure that resonated with a few of you. Another sneaky block, control energy. So you basically are saying all these things out loud. Maybe you're writing them in affirmations that you say that you trust the universe. But what are you doing? You are gripping that timeline. You are trying to figure out the how. You are going straight into strategy. You're trying to figure out the who. You're really trying to figure out the everything. So what are you doing? You're micromanaging the magic, right? You want the outcome, but only if it comes on your terms. And the truth is, control itself is a trauma response. You can't be in control and in receiving at the same time. I'm going to say that again. You can't be in control and in receiving at the same time. Okay? And then another block I've got is proving energy. You are constantly doing more. The people pleaser. You're learning more, you're launching more, and it's not because you're inspired. It's really because a piece of you still believes you have to earn it. It's like you can't relax. You feel lazy if you're not in some forward motion, and deep down, you believe rest equals failure. And that belief alone is blocking the blessings that want to meet you in your stillness. So I want you to kind of have a think about that. I definitely recovered people pleaser, and I feel like proving energy was very strong for me at a certain chapter in my life. Another one that I've talked about briefly is the hyper independence. It's like you pride yourself on not needing anyone. This is kind of like that era, I feel like, the boss lady, which I am a boss lady, but like I don't feel like I have to do it all, right? Like women are incredible. We birth babies, and we run businesses, and we do all these things, and we keep the house clean, and we cook the dinners, right? But this is this pride and not needing anyone. You just fucking push everyone away. You are self-made. You don't ever ask for help. You've equated like receiving as a weakness almost. Or worse, you've equated as like being a burden. The truth is, like, if your field says, if you're saying this energetically, like, I've got it 24/7, the universe is going to be like, let me step back. I'm not going to interrupt you. I believe you. Like, you fucking got it. So there you go. So basically what I'm getting at here is you can't be in control and in receiving mode, like I said, at the same time. It's not a performance. It's not a reward for doing it all. It is a frequency, and it does require that trust. Receiving to me is like, it's an exhale. I mean, I just did it without even realizing. It's the pause between the actions. It's soft and it's spacious and it's surrendered. So it's not a weakness. It's actually the complete opposite. It is divine feminine strength. So I really want you to ask yourself at this point, Where am I still performing for worthiness? You've got to catch yourself. Where does my body freak out or clench when I imagine having what I want? Or where do I associate more meaning love, abundance, finances, you name it, with danger or loss or, hey, responsibility. You've got to be able to, if you're going to call in more abundance, yeah, you're going to have more responsibility, but it's certainly not a scary thing. So the real work for this episode is talking about the clearing. It's like clearing what says, love will leave, or money means pressure, or success equals burnout, versus like, I am safe. I'm safe to hold this. Not even that. I am safe to have this. I am safe to be seen. I am safe to be supported. Hey, even better, I am safe to be celebrated. And that is when it lands. And that's when it not only lands, but it stays. So the reason, I wanted to bring these up is because I know these blocks so intimately. It's not because I've read about them in a book or saw them on socials. I've lived them. And I've gone through them. I 100% was the overgiver. I do still catch myself at times. I was the people pleaser. I literally, was the woman who thought her value was in being everything for everyone else. Given that was kind of part of my job, but it fell into my identity as well, right? I wore this hyper independence as well, like a badge of honor, And underneath all of that, when I really broke it down and dove deeper into my own personal story, what was I doing? I was protecting myself, and I didn't even have to pinpoint exactly what conversation did it or exactly, I think it was a combination of things that happened over my lifetime. But it's like I was protecting myself from disappointment. I was maybe really scared to be rejected or fail, from either being too much or not enough. I don't know, I think I've spoke about this on another episode, but I was a really shy, quiet girl. And it's not because I wasn't having some in-depth, deep conversations in my head. I just didn't want to be too much for somebody. So I didn't share my deeper, innermost thoughts, And at the time, of course, I didn't even realize how unbalanced I was energetically until these patterns started repeating them, right? And the more I dove into this inner work, it's like it was so obvious. I couldn't deny them anymore. And it just kind of felt like, they were parts of me, almost like, I love to go back to energy. It's like every part of you has an energetic center in your body, and these were turned off. It's like electricity had been cut in certain rooms of a house. Think of my house. My house has my body. And the electricity itself had been cut off, okay? And the moment I did start doing the inner work and bringing awareness to these patterns that I was fucking on this loop of repeat, I was rewiring my entire system. I was turning the fucking lights back on. I was creating new circuitry that actually allowed this energy to move and to flow and to support me instead of completely draining me. So if you see yourself in any of these, if you feel like you've been either running in circles or you are doing all the right things and still not receiving what you're calling in, I want you to know this, and I want you to really understand that it is possible to clear these blocks. It is possible to create safety, and it is 100% possible to shift timelines. Not only have I done it, but I've held it. And that is exactly why I'm here, because I know what it takes to live on the other side of it, But the truth that you do need to face is that you can't out-manifest your nervous system. You can't out-journal your subconscious beliefs, and you can't control your way into expansion. But you can learn to feel safe in your softness. You can rewire your system to hold more, and you can step into the version of you who receives with ease. And that's where we're going next, It's like so incredible to me how I have loved over the last few years really embracing my feminine energy, because for so long I just fought her. I was so deeply in my masculine. Why? I'm not even exactly sure, but I feel like I was taught that softness was weakness, that logic ruled over intuition, that structure actually mattered more than flow. And honestly, society doesn't just fail to celebrate the feminine, it barely even recognizes her power. But once I understood the truth, I stopped really resisting the most natural and powerful essence within me. And of course, everything shifted in my reality. I truly believe that when a woman is in her full embodied feminine energy, she is an unstoppable force of nature. She is a match for miracles, and she is the portal through which expansion does flow. So I want to flip the script, I want you to realize that we're not attracting by doing more things, journaling more, scripting, meditating more. I do love meditating, but we don't need to do it 10 times a day to bring our dreams into our reality. We don't want to do the masculine hustle approach here of do, and hey, let's do some more. You attract by being, by holding more of your truth. If I sound like I'm a broken record, because I really want you to understand what that means. You've got to soften into your own knowing. You've got to choose to become the match for what you desire. And that's why your feminine energy is so powerful. It's not like a softness for softness sake. It is so potent. Why? Because it creates space. Space for miracles to move, space for the universe to respond, space for you to receive without force. If I try to break this down with a visual, and we're thinking, think of it in elemental terms. Feminine being the water, as I said, my other analogy. She flows, she moves, she surrenders to gravity and still arrives in power, right? The masculine is the wood. He's holding, he's supporting, he's containing. He's that kind of side of the bank there. When the wood is strong, the water is free to flow. And this is really why there's the balance, this beautiful dance between the duo. Why structure does matter, but it's not the thing. The feminine is where the magnetism lives. And when I say magnetism, I'm not just talking about like some flirtation or sensuality in some narrow sense here. I am talking about a full body, soul deep energy that radiates, okay? A calm nervous system that can receive without contracting. A confident woman who knows she's worthy and doesn't over-explain her presence. It's like a body that feels so open and safe and turned on and turned in, okay? That is what draws your manifestations in. Feminine energy is so often misunderstood. It is deeply present. It is so deeply powerful and deeply, deeply magnetic. You're gonna attract things through your stillness because you know that you don't need to chase things. You're going to attract things through surrendering because you're trusting what's already yours is on its way, through your own sensuality because pleasure is power, and through spaciousness because receiving takes room to land. You don't have to wait to become this energy. You literally can embody it right now. Okay? Super simple job, dropping in. You can take 5 minutes to yourself, lie down somewhere cozy, close your eyes, place one hand on your heart, one hand on your womb space, breathe in, inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth, and ask yourself, what am I ready to receive today? I want it to be simple. I want it to be quiet. I don't want you to force the answer. I really want you to feel for it. And that is how you're going to train your body to feel safe in the frequency of allowing. And the more this becomes, a habit, the more you do it, the easier it gets to hold more. I mean, it's like that analogy of even for a lot of people that I speak with as well, like meditating. It's really challenging to turn the logical mind off, really challenging to tap out. But if you're trying to meditate, once a month and it's hard and you give up because you feel like all you did was think the whole time, you're not going to get any better. But if you do, 10 minutes a day, every day for a month, a few of those times you're going to tap the fuck out and you're going to be like, wow, this is meditating. It's the same, the same with learning to hold. We have to keep challenging ourselves and pushing past our energetic edges and expanding our capacity for more to understand what it feels like. And the more you're able to hold, the more you're able to attract. The more you're able to attract, guess what? The more you receive. And this is not with a push, and this is certainly not with burnout. It's just who you are now. You become magnetic not because you try, but because you really just stop hiding your power. I love going back to the analogy of turning the lights on. You have this power within you right now, but your lights are off, or they're dim, or they're not fully vibrant. Change the batteries, turn the lights back on. So this week I really want you to stop performing. If you're any bit like me on a different timeline, being a people pleaser, stop proving yourself and stop trying to manifest things from a nervous system that is still afraid of what you're asking for. I want you to learn to soften. I really want you to open yourself up, and I want you to anchor in trust, because I believe that we're all here for this beautiful overflowing abundance. We're made to hold more, and we're made to receive. And it's really time to feel safe in the having. So I'm going to love and leave you all there. If this episode landed, if it, you felt something stir in you, if it's relatable, if you felt something unlock or activate inside you, please take a moment, takes a few seconds, like it, subscribe it, share it. Honestly, post it to your stories if it resonated with you. Tag me in it. Send me a DM, send it to a friend who needs it. It really is the beautiful effect of this ripple, and it gets it into the right hearts and the right minds to really spread this message, and that's what I'm all about. I love the ripple effect and the impact, and love making, even the slightest difference in someone's life, and if you, of course, are feeling that pull to go deeper into your feminine power, if you are ready to stop leaking your energy, start mastering your beautiful frequency, and fully receive this next level version of you, I want you to jump into my DMs at fallonmichaela.co. You can find me on Instagram, and just shoot me the word magnetic, or let me know what's going on for you, and we can hop on a call and we can chat, about what it would look like to work together. Your energy is sacred. Your expansion is inevitable. You would not be listening to me if it wasn't. And again, I am so honored to be walking along this journey beside you guys. I'm so happy to share energy with you and to spend this time together every week. So I'm going to love and leave you there. I hope it resonated. I hope we're feeling like we're ready to receive. And I will catch you next week.